Okay, so I have everybody with me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And my topic is tipping culture has gotten out of hand. And then these are my cards. This is the first one. This is the second one, third, and fourth. Okay. You stop by a bakery, grab a prepackaged cookie, and you head to the checkout. There's no one at the counter, just a touch screen. You ring yourself up, swipe your card, and your receipt prints. Then the screen asks, would you like to leave a tip? You haven't spoken a single thing to one person, but now you feel awkward for saying no. Doesn't this sound familiar? Moments like this are becoming more common and more uncomfortable. Whether you're at a coffee shop or a food truck or even a self-checkout machine, tipping prompts up everywhere, and let's be honest, it's awkward and often unnecessary. This uncomfortable moment is something almost all of us can relate to. It's a small example of how tipping culture in the US has gotten completely out of hand, and tipping has shifted from a gesture of appreciation to something that feels like a mandatory tax. And most people can agree. According to Food and Wine, nearly 90% of Americans believe tipping culture has become excessive, and more than half of the respondents tip out of obligation rather than for excellent service. Tipping is no longer about gratitude. It's about pressure. Pressure to not seem rude, pressure to make up for a system that underpays its workers, and that pressure affects everyone. From the customer awkwardly hovering over the tip screen to the worker hoping someone hits 20% just so they can afford gas on the way home. Tipping has created an unfair system where employees depend on unpredictable tips instead of reliable wages. Workers in restaurants, salons, and delivery services often rely on tips just to survive because their base pay is so low. At the same time, customers are left unsure when to tip and how much to tip, whether the person they're tipping is even legally classified as a tipped worker. This uncertainty causes stress for both sides. Some people tip out of guilt, others skip it and feel judged, and workers are left to gamble with their paychecks. So, how is this fair, and how did we get here? One of the biggest reasons tipping culture is so widespread is because it's embedded into both our legal system and our social expectations. Legally, the federal minimum wage for tipped workers is just $2.13. The number hasn't changed since 1991. Imagine trying to budget your rent, groceries, and your car payments, knowing you only have $2 an hour before tips. Even if the tips can come. That's the reality for many service workers across the country. Meanwhile, the public is constantly told that tipping is a social obligation. We're told it's how workers make their living, and that we're bad people if we don't tip, even if the service is bad or barely exists. The social media, restaurant industry, and even digital checkout systems have reinforced the idea that tipping is the norm. As soon as you swipe your card, you're often faced with options like 18%, 20%, or even 25%. And no clear explanation of where that money goes. It's no surprise that, as Forbes reported in January of 2025, about 35% of Americans think tipping culture has gotten out of control, a 5 percentage point increase from last year. The public sees what's happening, but the system hasn't caught up. We need to stop patching this broken model with more guilt trips and start rebuilding it the right way. The solution is simple. Move to service-included pricing. That means no tipping, just higher wages for workers and clear upfront pricing for customers. This isn't a radical idea. It's already working in many parts of Europe where tipping is rare and service is still professional and polite. In the US, restaurants have tried this model and have seen mixed results, often due to resistance from customers and use low base prices. But it's worth pushing forward. According to Financial Times, efforts to eliminate tipping in favor of higher menu prices have faced resistance through higher wages and could improve customer trust and service quality in the long run. And this change would create stability for workers, clarity for customers, and fairness for everyone. Employees would be responsible for wages as they should be. Customers wouldn't be forced into making financial-based decisions on awkward social pressures. And most importantly, workers could count on a consistent income instead of living in a financial limbo. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Won't service get worse if people don't rely on tips? Actually, studies show that service quality does not significantly drop when tipping is removed, and in many cases, it can improve. When employees receive steady wages and benefits, they're often happier and more motivated. So you're not just tipping for kindness, you're giving them security. Another concern is that prices will rise. That may be true, but so will transparency. Instead of pretending your burger costs $12 and surprising you with a $3 tip screen, the total cost will be upfront. There's no games, no guilt, just honesty. And we need to remember that the world is changing. As automation becomes more common, tipping becomes even more awkward. According to a report in the Brookdale Library database, this pace of workforce transformation is likely accelerated, with half of today's work activities potentially automated between 2030 and 2050. In other words, we can't keep tipping screens and kiosks like they're people. The system needs to evolve with times. Overall, tipping should be a choice tied to real service, not an obligation slapped onto a screen. It's time we stop listening to guilt guide our wallets and start tipping when it actually makes sense. We need to advocate for fair wages, transparent prices, and a service culture that doesn't rely on pressuring customers. Tipping culture isn't just outdated, it's broken, and it's time for a reset. Let's stop tipping out of habit and create a system that works for everyone. Okay, that is done.